I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I am Program Director for the Iowa Academy of Science, and I coordinate the GLOBE program, Project WET, and other professional development opportunities for educators in Iowa. This is my 14th year with GLOBE. My science background is in field biology, mostly prairie restoration, and also in earth sciences. Being a part of GLOBE was actually a fulfillment of a career goal that I set for myself in 4th grade to work with NASA. And one of my very favorite things about the program is that GLOBE students actually get to work with NASA science while they're in K through classes. So I think that that's a really wonderful opportunity for students to be involved in real science. And that's why I do GLOBE. So what we were going to do next is just have a little time where you can all introduce yourselves. And Kristen, did you want them to do that with the chat or to go around the room?
Yes. So if you could, we can do that with chat. We have quite a few people here. So if everyone can introduce themselves, say your name, where you're from, and just go ahead and chat that in. We can all see the responses up here. All at once? Yeah, all at once. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's the cool thing about technology. We can all scream our name at the same time and yet uh, read it separately. Anthony, Rick.
Yes, it is.
Are you Sheila? Hi, Sheila. Tina?
Now it's coming. Just smile. She just recognized our name.
There's a bit of a delay.
Oh, I'm glad you're there.
Okay, so again,
Thanks
if
so
you're
much
just
for
coming in,
sharing.
we're
Noah,
just typing our names into the chat room. Most of the computers have are connected to the webinar. Marcy, I think we have most of the people, and they can also continue to type their names in.
great. So we're in this session today to address the next generation science standards. Those were released in April and are now under review by the states for adoption. And although the standards have just been released, many of us, many of you, have been involved in either the development, the state review process, planning for implementation in states and districts for GLOBE for quite some time. David Babowski and I have already presented NGSS sessions at several other GLOBE events, including the conference last year. So today we're not going to repeat a basic introduction to NGSS. Instead, we're going to begin with how to find those resources because we've captured what we've done in the past on the GLOBE website. And then we're going to share opportunities to, within the GLOBE community, work with the team that's going to be spearheading the GLOBE and NGSS alignment. And then we're going to take a look at two of the conceptual shifts in the next generation
Marcy, are
science
you there?
standards. Uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Okay. So I'm going to assume you lost just a little bit and go back um, to, we're going to share today opportunities for you to join the team that is connecting GLOBE and
Marcy,
NGSS.
maybe take your. Marcy, can you turn the video off? That might go faster then.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Okay, there you go. Yep,
Okay, I
a
think
lot
the
better.
delay is about 2 seconds too, if that helps us out. Okay,
Okay.
I think I'm probably gonna repeat this. So today we're gonna share opportunities for you to join the team that'll build the alignment between Globe and NGSS. And then we're also going to take a look at two of the conceptual shifts of the next generation science standards. And with those shifts in mind, Kristen is going to lead us in a brainstorming session to get us thinking about how we can support NGSS in our workshops um, and our other teacher support. So to begin, let's look at where there are already next generation science standard resources on the Globe website for different audiences. Um, First, for classroom teachers, administrators, and others who attend your workshops and events, there's a Next Generation Science Standard tab in the Globe website. To get to this tab, you mouse over the Teaching and Learning menu, and then click on Learning Standards, and finally select the Next Generation Science Standards tab. On this tab, there's links to the framework for K-12 education. That's the document that informed the creation of the new standards. So it's really the place that educators should start with when they're thinking about integrating the new standards and how the new standards are different from the past standards. There's also a link to the um, National Science Teachers Association Reader's Guide, and that's a step-by-step process if you're very familiar with benchmarks and also with the National Science Education Standards. That document helps you think about changing over to next generation science standards. And then the third link that's available for anyone on the Globe website is a link to the standards themselves. And that is where you can search by grade level, discipline, topic, many other searches, and go through the actual standards. This is also the future home of where the globe-specific resources related to NGSS will be located. And so in your workshops, whenever you are introducing your participants to standards, this would be the place that you would use. As I said, we're not going to do the 20-minute introduction to next generation science standard speech again. However, if you missed it, we recorded it. So our last webinar is available on the Globe website. And you get to that again through that teaching and learning menu, and then this time clicking on professional development resources, and then on the webinar tab where many of the Globe webinars of the past are located. And there is a specific section for next generation science standard webinars. So if you want a why did we decide to develop new standards in the first place, and where did they come from and how are they developed, then this webinar would be the thing that you would want to watch. And then most of you are US Globe partners, and there's a special section of the Globe website that's accessible only to you. You need to log into the website first. And I also want to stress that I hope that all of you will go here and submit your own ideas and comments and decide to participate or nominate someone to participate in our alignment project. So to get to this section, you have to log in, and then you go to the US Globe Partner Forum. So that would be by, here I'm going to do my little green arrow. I have a screenshot of myself logged in. There's the little go-to menu at the top. And you may have a different number of links here depending on how many communities you've joined. You're going to scroll down to US Partner Forum and click on that. And then from there, it's the second tab that is discussions. And the first category is NGSS discussions. So that's where you go to contribute information, to contribute resources about NGSS that you know about, to look at the resources that we all have available, to suggest things that ought to be moved over to that teacher section, and to learn about our alignment workshop. I just saw that in the chat someone said, is that available to non-partners? You'd have to go through a partner in order to get access to that information. It's really where we're planning what we're putting into the public part of the website. So my suggestion would be maybe talk to Kristen at the end of the session, or talk to your local partner. If you wanted to be involved in the team, then they may sign you up as a part of their partnership under the team and then grant you access to that. And so I'm very happy to announce that the Iowa Academy of Science, in partnership with the Globe Program Office, Wayne Reza, and the University of Northern Iowa, has received an NSF grant to conduct or to do an alignment project. And our project centers around conducting a 2.5-day working meeting to develop the draft alignment between Globe and the next generation science standards. The entire project is going to include pre-webinars, and we did our first of that series about a month ago. We have another one coming up on September 11th and a third coming up on October 9th. The pre-webinars are to make people aware of the program and to recruit people to come to the team and to get members of the Globe community, whether they're going to come to the workshop or not, to help members of the Globe community become knowledgeable about the standards so that we all have a common language around Globe and the standards. It's really getting us all on the same playing field. And then during the 2.5-day workshop, we'll bring together teachers, trainers, scientists, partners, other members of the Globe community to create that draft alignment between Globe and the standards. And so what are we talking about there? We'll be looking at Globe protocols, Globe activities, and then other Globe resources, things like the elementary Globe books and their activities, the website visualization tool, the Earth Systems packet, any other thing in the Globe resource that could be used in a classroom by students could be a part of the alignment, could be identified as a Globe resource and made a part of the alignment. And what we'll be doing is aligning those to the student performance expectations. Those are the language of the standards. And as we do that, we're going to have to keep in mind that these students' performance expectations are a description of what the students will be assessed on, not what needs to happen, assessed on. They're not a description of what needs to happen in class in order to prepare for that assessment. We'll take a look at that later. And we also need to keep in mind that those student performance objectives integrate a science and engineering practice, a core idea, and a cross-cutting concept. So it may not be that one activity addresses all of one student performance expectation. Instead, you may need a suite of activities or a plan, a series of activities that help students gain the experiences and the skills and knowledge in order to perform the student performance expectation. Our goal is to provide the Globe community with an alignment to NGSS so that Globe partners, trainers, the Globe Program Office, and teachers can integrate NGSS into classrooms and professional development. There are many ways that you can join the team, from participating in the webinars and providing feedback during our brainstorming sessions, nominating someone, maybe yourself, for your partnership to participate in the workshop, or piloting or submitting comments to the draft documents after the workshop. So please do visit that US Partner Forum page or contact your partner if you're not a partner to learn more about providing your own ideas. And again, if you don't know, if you don't have a local partner you can work with, you can contact me. I'll have my information at the end. You can talk to Kristen at the end of the session. Um, and if you're already integrating NGS into your workshops, we want to know how, and that forum area would be where you would be able to submit how. In the introduction webinar that we did about a month ago, we discussed the first two of these 7 conceptual shifts of NGSS. And then we had a brainstorming session about how, thinking about those or keeping those in mind and about how we may use Globe in our workshops, or what resources we may need to be able to provide teachers in order to connect Globe and NGSS. And so we're kind of build on that today, and I'm going to present a little bit about this, the third and actually the 7th of these conceptual shifts. So the ones we'll look at quickly today are that science concepts build coherently from K through 12, and also that the new standards and the Common Core state standards have been aligned. And in future webinars, we'll probably cover the 3 conceptual shifts that are left over, the 3 in red. So conceptual shift 3 is that science concepts in NGSS build coherently from kindergarten through 12th grade. And many of you are probably sitting there thinking, that's not actually a conceptual shift. That's scope and sequence, or another set of buzzwords that have been around for a billion years. And really, that idea that learning builds over time is not a new one. However, in the 20 years since we developed benchmarks and the national science education standards, there is a plethora of new research on how learners learn. And we didn't have that research to build the previous standards. We do have it in order to build the new standards. And so the framework set up that we need to include that new research on learning and build progressions kindergarten through 12th grade that allows students to use the skills of the past, to build the new skills and get ready for future skills. And the same thing with knowledge, to use knowledge they have had in the past, to build current knowledge and to prepare for future knowledge, rather than practicing the same skills in 1st grade and again in 5th grade and again in 8th grade and again in 12th grade. And that's really what this conceptual shift represents. Um, I, I often think in education, sometimes we have a pendulum that swings and we go from one method way over to another method. And sometimes we decide that we're going to rename the pendulum a plum. And this may be a case of changing sequence into learning progression, but of course we're integrating our new knowledge. Here are a couple of examples from the framework of some of those progressions. And the top one is in the practices. In kindergarten and 2nd grade, students are using observations and explanations related to direct experiences. And then in 3rd through 5th, they're using simple knowledge models to explain observable phenomenon. And then in 6th through 12th, they get to abstract and detailed models and their explanations. And then the bottom one is comes from the framework's explanation of one of the new progressions for the core ideas. And so in kindergarten and 2nd grade, they'd be working with things that they can have direct experiences with. And then in 3rd through 5th, they may be working with things that are not visible to them, but they're macroscopic things that are familiar. And so that might be things like um, the parts of the earth. And then they move up to atomic level concepts, and in 9th through 12th, subatomic level concepts. And so again, there was research behind when students are ready for specific things, and that research is built into the order in which the standards are presented in kindergarten through 12th grade. So we're going to take a look at that and what it might mean for Globe real quick. And I stopped sharing.
And Marcy, as we do this, we just have a few minutes left for the presentation,
No.
just so that we get the group dialogue going too.
Yep. We got a late start.
We did.
So I'm going to make this really quick. However, you can share that link so that other people can come here and contribute later. What we have here is a line-out board where I've lined up for weather and climate the standards in kindergarten, third grade, middle school, and high school. That's the progression for weather and climate. And then, so the gray is the standards, the student performance expectations. And below it, I have the series of possible activities that if a whole school district were going to cover weather and climate, and they had the kindergarten, third grade, middle school, and high school teachers meet together and decide on a learning progression for that, these are things that they might have and do in each of the grades in order to get through those standards. The link is actually up in the top of the screen. It's goo.gl/55 capital X small l JK. And so just as a really quick example, in kindergarten they're going to use and share, this is what they're assessed on, using and sharing observations of local weather conditions to describe patterns over time. And so some of the things that they might do is the observing visibility and sky cover activity from Globe, the observing, describing, and identifying clouds activity. They may listen to older students read, "Did you know the clouds have names?" and then ask and answer questions that they have about the book as they go through it. And then they might learn the Globe Cloud protocols. And I won't go through all of that, but basically here is a progression in kindergarten. And then having learning progressions means thinking about how does that kindergarten help build third grade, middle school, and high school. And so if students in kindergarten listen to the older students reading, "Do they have clouds have names?" In middle school, when they're going to have to explain um, the complex interactions of air
Marcy,
masses,
can you repeat that?
they may, yes. So if in kindergarten they're going to be listening to older students reading, "Did you know the cloud had names?" and thinking about how that relates to current weather conditions, in middle school, those same students may go back to kindergarten and read "Did you know the cloud have names?" to younger students, and then write their own sequel to that book to explain air masses as a part of their performance expectation of explaining the complex interactions of air masses. So it's really about having